Let's queer up religion, shall we? Pope calls out U.S. conservatives as backwards over social justice issues. Pope Francis has blasted the backwardness of some conservatives in the U.S. Catholic Church, saying they have replaced faith with ideology and that a correct understanding of Catholic doctrine allows for change over time. Francis's comments were an acknowledgment of divisions in the U.S. Catholic Church, which has been split between progressives and conservatives who long found support in the doctrinaire papacies of St. Paul II and Benedict XVI, particularly on issues of abortion and same-sex marriage. Many conservatives have blasted Francis's emphasis and called them radical. Francis made the comments in a private meeting with Portuguese members of his Jesuit religious order while visiting Lisbon on August 5th. The Jesuit journal La Civilta Cattolica, which is vetted by the Vatican Secretariat of State, published a transcript of the encounter. During the meeting, a Portuguese Jesuit told Francis that he had suffered during a recent sabbatical year in the U.S. because he came across many Catholics, including some U.S. bishops, who criticized Francis's 10-year papacy as well as today's Jesuits. Pope Francis acknowledged his point, saying there was a very strong, organized, and reactionary attitude in the U.S. Church, which is backward. He warned that such an attitude leads to a climate of closure, which was erroneous. Now, I'm going to be the ass in the room because I just don't feel like any of this holds weight to me anymore. Like when I think of children, right? Let's talk about Florida in particular, of who is in danger and who are we in danger from. And we're going to assume it's the church all the time. And I just feel like, sure, Pope Francis is a bit more progressive than we're used to. But his messaging for me just doesn't hold as much value. As much as I wanted to, as much as I want to tell people he is a bit more progressive, even though he still says things are not as it seems, it's still okay to be in a same-sex marriage.
Why do you think he's doing that? From your interpretation, the Cuban family,
yes.
Historically Catholic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was baptized.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I've read the book. I know how it works. Why is he doing this, do you think?
Because he wants the reputation to get better. He wants to take the eyes off of the army that he runs of the of the raping that they're doing to children, right? Like it's obvious to me that he's doing this, and I feel like he is a bit more progressive, but it's obvious that it's just a marketing tactic to steer away from this.
You don't
reputation.
believe him then?
I do believe him, but I believe that it is well played.
I don't think it's only a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
I do think if we look back at some of and I'm also raised Catholic, not Catholic anymore, but I love Pope Francis. But complicated religious
exactly.
trauma, we all got it. But
we all got it.
We all got it. But the thing I think, if we look back at kind of the legacy, he has definitely is not without critique. There are things he did in Argentina during the war that definitely are worth critique and worth looking at. And I think, unfortunately, for the millions of Catholics around the world, it's still very important. So if a little bit of positive messaging is going to have a large and direct impact on the lives of queer people across the world. And my own grandmother is very, very Catholic. And I was so afraid to come out to her. I literally came out to her last week. And she immediately started calling me Mateo. Immediately, she used to address all my letters Mrs. Zach Brewer, my husband's name. And she sent me a letter addressed to my own name, Mateo, and sent me a thing from the Pope. And I'm like, wow, she took it better than anyone else in my family.
And what did she send you from the Pope?
Oh, I don't know, just like an article like that, just about what he said about accepting trans people.
Well, but wait, I just want to make the connection of the dots. I'm thrilled with that reaction. I remind everybody, there's 1 billion Catholics. The Pope opens the curtains that much, that's light getting into the room that was never in the room for Mateo's grandmother.
And I do believe that, and I do believe he's the most progressive pope that we've had. I do believe that.
Away from your point of
what doing, because he still thinks it's a sin, right?
Right.
He still thinks it's a sin. He is just not going to manage your life, is how he is wording it.
Yeah, he's not going to like give you the
Isn't
boot
that
from
a step in the right direction, though?
Sure, yeah, we'll take the win. Yeah.
The thing is, in addition to you, for example, or people like you not necessarily believing the Pope, there's also people, you know, who are devoted Catholics, who aren't queer, who also don't believe the Pope or take him seriously too. I've heard many Catholics basically like kind of like, brush him off. And not only that, but they say, that's not my Pope. Kind of like they do with the president.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's also
Because of the liberal or more liberal comments that he's making.
Exactly.
That's super
Yeah.
interesting.
Emperor
my grandfather
Palpatine's
says
gone,
something.
so.
What?
Said Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah. just one final note before we come out of this. That this is fascinating to me, because first and foremost, this is about the 6th story we've done in the last 12 months about these little nuggets that he keeps throwing down on the table. And it's interesting to me. You don't believe it, or kind of quasi. You have a little bit more embracement in terms of what's going on. My reaction is right now, Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Ghost is playing in my head, and Whoopi is leaning into the Pope and going, you in danger, girl.
Yeah.
And the reason is because he's got the Illuminati. And the Illuminati is real.
Yeah.
They are the scary ones of these evangelicals that are really the deep state in the Vatican that are going to kill the old guy because he's gone too far. And he keeps, in my opinion, he keeps code talking to the entire world.
Yeah, which makes it more business than it is religious.
Okay, but and that's why I ask you. Well, you suggest, okay, I'll take that win. And it's interesting on what you just said, which I didn't know in this. He opens the curtains enough where Mateo's grandmother does something different.
Yeah, that's a good story.
That she wouldn't have done before. But girl, you in danger, because the Illuminati is going to get him. And at the end of the day, one of the things that I think is really a big moment in terms of the nugget he drops on the table in Lisbon is he talks about America. And when you talk about religion in America and Africa, and then the Muslim world, those 3 places have similarities, all completely different. But what is it? Radical evangelicals. And people forget. And then you draw the note. There's evangelical Catholics. They're radical Catholics. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, wait, America is too evangelical. They're too radical. And that's the note he throws on the table, which is what brings the point of, girl, you in danger, because the Illuminati is going to get you.
And just to draw off the point of Africa, the reason why they're so evangelical is because Americans went to Africa and radicalized them. Like,
I welcome the Pope's comments, and keep giving it. You know, go on a business plan.
Yeah, you're right.
Every 30 days, here's another nugget.
You're right. You're right.
Maybe he's just pushing to see how far he can go until he does get one.
Hopefully,
God, I hope he doesn't get killed.
Hopefully, he drops them out.
I'm making a joke.
All right.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.